Hello, world. My name is Al. Thank you so much for tuning in. For those new, thank you and welcome. I am going to be sharing a little bit more about my spiritual path and my awakening this year. At the top of the year, I ended up getting the call in a sense. And so that's what I've been focusing on this entire year, which is to be able to heed the call, listen, meditate, and see what my soul is guiding me to go through on this journey and be able to connect with the spirit family and be open to the gifts that have been opening up for me slowly along the way. And so that's what I wanted to share in this video, and also share a little bit more from my trip from Egypt and all the experiences this year that I've had on my journey. So, welcome to those new. Thank you for liking, subscribing as well. And I hope this video or any of my messages within this video helps you on your journey. It was 111 as I was saying that. So that said, synchronicities, that is the biggest thing that kind of jump starts me into this path. Last year in 2024, I ended up seeing the numbers 1111 a lot, and that is what kind of piqued my curiosity of like, why am I seeing this number a lot? And so looking up what 1111 angel number meant, I saw that as the starting point of my journey to kind of follow these messages that my spirit family were dropping to me in a sense. And so last year, for example, I was able to kind of connect with other spiritual professionals out there to help me on my journey who were also catalysts for me. I'm pretty sure, and I know it, that I've had soul contracts with these people to help awaken me even more and further into my journey on my spiritual path. And I'm forever grateful and I'm forever thankful. I consider them soul family in a sense. And so that is basically, my journey and my path of recognizing that these people are my soul tribe, my soul sisters, in a sense, my soul brothers as well. And so that is what I recognize now at being at the end of 2025 as I'm shooting this video. And so a lot of healing and a lot of realigning, redefining as well that I focused on for this year. So, for example, going within a lot of hermit mode, a lot of being on the mountain, learning. That was what I focused on this year. And I wanted to kind of share the different experiences that I've had, whether it's kind of hearing music as a clairaudience experience, or hearing the whispers right before waking up of instructions or phrases from spirit family in the lucid astral dreaming sense as well. So I'm recognizing it, I'm writing it all down, and I'm all the dreams that I have, sometimes that are prophetic, sometimes it is a past life memory as well. So dreaming of shapeshifters or dreaming of supernatural babies, these are things that I am experiencing in dream state. And then also sometimes there are nightmares as well. And in those cases, I'm not scared, as I've had these dreams throughout the year. I know that my spirit family wakes me up if it's a really bad nightmare, for example. And I know they're always protecting me too. So them letting me witness these in dream state is also for me to prepare me for what's to come, which is as you ascend, as your light gets brighter, sometimes you're going to attract darkness. And that's okay, because that's where divine intervention comes in for that person, right? And so I'm now able to recognize that energy or that attachment that they have, and be able to heal them from afar as well too. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on, along with a lot of traveling this year. So traveling to different places, Miami, Sedona, Arizona, Kyoto, Japan, Cairo, and Luxor, Egypt, for example. Those were all the different places. And just last month, I had the download of "You're a grid keeper." So I had to look up what is a grid keeper in general, because sometimes the spirit family will drop phrases to me during meditation. I'm like, okay, I got to look it up. But being able to go to these different places and connect with the different ancestors of that place. So, for example, when I was in Sedona, Arizona, that was a lot of the ancestors, the indigenous shamanic ancestors in my lineage, or just, who's been guiding me along the way. And so that was what I felt in Sedona, Arizona. When I was in the Bahamas, it was the galactic starseed family. So the Arcturians, the Orions, the Lyrans, the Syrians, for example, in the Bahamas, I know that when I'm traveling to these different places that are part of these energy, ley lines, grid lines, what have you, those are the type of ancestors that come through for me at that space, on my spiritual path, for example. Or in Kyoto, Japan, the ancestors of the East for me, having Asian lineage, for example, those, and the dragons especially, coming through in Kyoto, Japan. That is what I experienced. And then, of course, in Egypt, Cairo and Luxor, the Egyptian ancestors, the galactic starseed family ancestors who came through. And just Egypt as my last trip, there was a lot of reflection from that trip. And I'm still reflecting on it till this day, to be honest. And I'll share a little bit more of my experiences within this video, to share what happened in Egypt. But just in general, this entire year, aside from going on these trips, healing and going within to recognize patterns, and to reassess the relationships and partnerships that I have as well, and know that as I'm going through this awakening, sometimes relationships need to fall away, and that's okay, because it can be built on something better and new, for example. And I know that not everyone is going to come along on the journey, and that's okay, because I've learned now that having compassion without judgment is key on this spiritual path and this ascension, in a sense. And so accepting the person as they are, and just, helping guide them along the way. It is up to them to change. You cannot interfere with their spiritual path, but you can guide them, and it's up to them, because everyone has free will, right? So that is the biggest thing for me. And I know in the past, I wanted to control. I mean, be able to I want you to change, which is I want, right? Rather than, they want, in a sense. So it's recognizing when I am in that mode of I want you to do this kind of thing, rather than they need to do it for themselves. So that's what I am more aware of as I've gone through this year and through my healing journey. And then also just having the experience of my gifts opening up more and more. Every place I visit, a new gift is given to me, or, the spirit family is basically saying, you're ready for this. So, just being able to hear music or hear the phrases for clairaudience, for example, my claircognizance of just the deep knowing to do things. So, for example, when I went to Egypt a couple months ago, I knew to bring lapis lazuli crystals with me, little lapis lazuli crystals. I had like a little bag full of them, and I had it in my backpack. And every place I visited, I left a crystal behind, making sure that no one can ever find it. So, for example, when we were going into King's Chamber, as we're ascending up and coming back down, placing a crystal somewhere hidden within the pyramid, or visiting the different temples in Dandara, or the temples in Karnak, for example, or the temples in Valley of the Kings. All these different places that we visited, I made sure to leave a little lapis lazuli crystal behind. And this was just a deep knowing of that is what the ancestors, the Egyptian ancestors, the galactic ancestors, just, I knew to do this as my offering to them, as a sign of reverence. Every place I go, it is reverence to the ancestors in a sense. And I am aware and conscious of that every time I travel. So just having that deep knowing as I'm sharing with the shop owners, for example, they are stunned and in awe. And yeah, of course, they're giving me free gifts from the shop, in a sense. And I'm like, no, it's okay. But they are just surprised that someone's giving to these places, most people take, in a sense. And there was I remember when I had left a lapis lazuli crystal in the little temple where the Sekhmet statue is located in Karnak. One of the guards pulled me aside, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to jail because I thought he saw me. But instead, what he did was, hey, you come with me. And he brought me to the left wing of that temple. And he said, I'll take your picture and you touch these 4 different symbols on the wall. So I thought that was a cool experience, that the places I gave to, I ended up getting something back, whether it is a guard telling me, hey, you can go to this other, part of the site that they didn't have a lot of tourists go through, or shop owners just giving me gifts after I share this experience. Actually, one shop owner, it's 1212, by the way, as I was saying that, one of the gift or shop owners, he basically said to me, your heart is different. I can tell your heart is different from the group that you're with. And so I went back to my hotel room kind of reflecting on that, like, okay, this guy, he's also intuitive too. So I basically, I'm listening to the messages, from the animals, the lights flickering, or things dropping or whatnot, of what am I thinking in that moment when I saw that sign, because it's confirmation for me. And also just my clairsentience in general, my goosebumps, my spirit chills. That is the biggest, I would say, development this year for me. They say that animals are able to sense danger or when storms are going to come. And that's how I feel my body has been kind of regulating too this year, which is I'm able now to sense the energy around, to sense the negative attachments or the space or whatnot. And I'm able to clear it with the healing that I learned in Kyoto, Japan. So being guided to learn the healing modality of Reiki from Inamoto Hayakuten sensei in Kyoto, Japan. He allowed me to learn up to level 3, and level 4 is master teacher, which I am not called to be master teacher just yet. So I'm basically waiting for that call of you're ready to do master teacher level. But for now, just being able to heal myself, being able to heal others, and just be more consciously aware on my spiritual journey, that's what I've learned with Inamoto Hayakuten Sensei in Kyoto. So that is what I was guided to learn by my ancestors in my lineage, in my heritage, in a sense. And so that's what I am so grateful, to be able to have that guidance, and the crows, kind of showing up to say, that's the healing modality and that is your teacher in a sense. So, and I told Sensei that as well. And he goes, crows are messengers of the gods, right? And I said, yes, I know that, Sensei. So I'm so grateful for that experience. And just all my gifts this year, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairvoyance, and also clairaudience. That is what has opened up even more and more. So, for example, clairvoyance, the visions. When we were in Egypt, we were meditating. We had a lot of meditation sessions along the way at the different sites, even along the Nile in a boat as well. And each meditation session, there was a vision that I had. I could see in my third eye so clearly. And one of the most prominent visions I had was when we were meditating underneath the Temple of the Sun in Cairo, Egypt. And in that meditation session, I saw Archangel Michael with his sword down, along with the seraphim, along with the other archangels, the ascended masters, for example, Mother Mary, Jesus, Hathor, Ra, Horus, Sekhmet, Ganesha, Kali Ma, Kuan Yin, and just all these other ascended masters surrounding, along with the galactic starseed family in the skies, and also the universe. So being able to see space in my third eye. And I will share in this video frame the picture that I drew, which I was guided to draw at 12 o'clock in the morning, right before we were catching our flight to Luxor, Egypt. So the spirit family guided me to draw it now so you don't forget, in a sense, and I drew it. So I'll be kind of blurring out names from the picture because I know I had shared this picture with the group as well, and all of us had goosebumps when I had shared that experience with them. In that moment, as we were meditating, I was in awe. I was crying because I couldn't see, or I couldn't believe what I was seeing in my third eye. I literally felt like all the angels, seraphim, archangels surrounding, the ancestors also surrounding, were there, present, surrounding us in this meditation circle that we had. So I'll share that picture that I drew, for example. And so my third eye basically opened up wide to be able to see those realms, those dimensions, those beings of higher consciousness, in a sense. That is what I am still reflecting on, of being the eyes of the group and just experiencing that, and no one else saw, which I wish they did. And I guess that's why I had to draw it down and draw it out for them, because the spirit family chose me from the group to say, all right, you're the one who's going to be sharing this vision with everyone else, in a sense. So I know for me to be able to see that in my third eye, I've been doing the work this year. I've been following, the guidelines, I guess you could say, of my spiritual path and journey. And for example, just being a clear divine channel, last year in 2024, August 11th, actually, 2024, I quit drinking. So I've been sober this entire time. And at the top of the year of 2025, I went vegetarian, just having a deep knowing that for me, on my spiritual path, eating meat, there's spirits in animals. And for me to be a clear divine channel, I didn't want anything to taint my connection to source in a sense. And so I just went vegetarian. And actually, while I was training with Sensei in Japan, he confirmed to me that yes, when I had asked him, like, hey, is it true? Because that was the deep knowing that I had. Is it true that animals have spirits? And, he basically confirmed to me, yes. And he also advised, like, it's okay to have it every now and then, whatnot. But I know for me, I'm just, once I start, I won't stop in a sense. So just being sober, eating clean, being cognizant, drinking a lot of water, that is what I'm guided on my spiritual path and journey on my awakening. And just, getting rid of the habits in a sense, the bad habits, and just staying on my path. That's me doing the work and going within to heal, and now being able on that trip on Egypt to see the vision of all those higher dimensions. That was kind of the gift that I was given by my spirit family to be able to see them. So like, I'm still reflecting from that trip, and there's a lot more visions that I had on that trip as well. And one day I will share. And so that is kind of what I wanted to hop on here to kind of share with you all, and just traveling to all these different places and recognizing the energy and recognizing the ancestors coming through. Every place I visit, it's like I collect ancestors that, kind of join in with the team, I guess you could say. And so I know I am highly protected, especially putting myself out there, sharing my spiritual path with you all. I'm being called to help heal and to help guide and awaken people on their journeys. So I am also a catalyst for a lot of people as well. And so that's what I'm focusing on for my individual mission, which now I'm transitioning into co-creating with the universe, with God, with source in a sense. So along the way, starting in 2024, I've had these downloads from God, I guess you could say, of what businesses to start. And to be honest, these names have been going through trademark right now. It's not done yet, but I'm guided to at least say that my individual mission project will be launching next year. So I've been working behind the scenes, co-creating with God, the universe, the most high source, whoever you resonate with, and the spirit family, to be able to build this vision. I say build because I'm a life path 4, and life path 4s are builders. So building this new earth, building this new world, I am basically here to help do that with everyone else out there who's also has the same calling, and just giving that energy to everybody. I'm a human design generator, so having all this energy to be able to guide and to help heal people and be that divine channel for the people out there who also want to dive deeper into their spiritual journey, and what fulfills them in this lifetime, I'm able to now ground it, for example. So I'm in the tech industry. Tech is like very analytical, logical, and practical. So being able to now take spiritual fluid into practical, logical, and ground it of, okay, this is what I'm now going to build, here in this 3D world, in a sense, from kind of integrating the 5D and 3D. That is what I'm here to do, in a sense. And so this year has definitely helped me realize what work-life balance really means. And so that is what I am guided to also help others out there as part of my individual mission as well. I know there's a bigger collective mission to do, and that's going to involve a lot more people, not just me. And so that is the future. I'm as I've manifested these projects and also have been downloading these ideas are for my children's children, their generations. I'm not thinking about now, I'm thinking about future. So that is kind of what I'm here to do on my spiritual journey, on my spiritual path and awakening. And so I wanted to share that. And I just hope that this video reaches those out there who are being called. And, just this journey is all about having faith and trust, and know that no matter what you choose, you have free will. To be honest, as I am in situations, I kind of can already see the different timelines of, okay, if I choose A, B, C, D, or E, this is where it's going to take me. And so for me, I choose to be on my highest timeline. And so that's why I'm highly protected, I guess you could say. And so that's what I wanted to share. This journey is a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of discipline and a lot of obedience in a sense. There is free will. So sometimes I have to repeat a lesson because I choose at that moment I gotta, put these ducks in a row first before I, am able to exit, for example. And so I'm quickly kind of learning and aware of these different situations I put myself in or I end up just encountering. And that's what I wanted to share is just, I don't want to call it a game, but it is kind of a game. It is the Matrix, I guess you could say. And so that is what I recognize, on my journey. So I wanted to share that and just recap, this entire year of just healing, learning, going within, being on the mountain in hermit mode, and, being ready to come down the mountain to kind of share with you all every now and then. Consider these videos basically me coming down the mountain to share it with you all in a sense. So that's kind of what I wanted to hop on here to share with you. And I know there's a lot more to share. For example, how am I integrating this with a 3D world? Just this month of December, which is the month I'm shooting this video, December 2025, I had reached out to HR at work and I said, hey, I would like to share one day, in a company meeting, my special gifts. And I'm just curious if, what happens if someone is uncomfortable knowing that I have these gifts. And so before I actually had the meeting with HR, in our messenger chat at work, there was a topic that is sent every morning for people to interact. And the question and topic was, do you have the sixth sense? Do you have a specialist intuition? And I saw that as a wink and a laugh from my spirit family, from God, the universe, source, whoever you resonate with, as we're pushing you off the bird's nest and you are going to fly. So in that chat, I did share, yes, I do. I'm clairsentient, claircognizant, clairvoyant, clairaudient, and I'm also a Reiki energy healer. So I mentioned that in the chat and I got a lot of reactions, in a sense, a lot of people reaching out as well. And so that was my moment of kind of coming out to the hundreds of people that was in that chat room and sharing that in a sense. And so I've been also sharing with my family, my extended family, my cousins, for example, they are all aware that we have gifts in the family. Our great grandparents, one being healers in a sense, and the ones who weren't aware, I'm basically educating them. Like, yes, my mother had shared with me that great grandfather and great grandmother were healers in a sense. And so that's what I've been also sharing with my cousins, to let them all know that I'm being called to do this. I'm being called to um, continue this gift within our family lineage, and also let them be aware that the children that end up getting born into our family, if they end up having the gift in the future, to not be scared, because this is our birthright in a sense. And so that's what I'm educating my family as well. And just being more comfortable in my skin with everyone that I'm working with day to day, of just, this is who I am. And so that's what I've been using this entire year, to just slowly and now integrate my gifts into my 3D world, and be able to be comfortable to turn it on or off in a sense, and help heal people who request for healing. So for example, not just healing people, but healing animals. So, having requests of me helping heal someone's dog, for example, that was the latest thing that I had done. And just to my surprise, it worked for them, of their dog ended up eating finally. And so that was kind of a big breakthrough for me, to be able to heal animals, through my Reiki healing that I learned. And so that is what I wanted to share. And just for those out there who's going on their own journey as well, it's different for everybody. For me, I'm being called into this, path, and I know I'm supported and surrounded by multiple ancestors, galactic and earthly, indigenous ancestors as well, and ascended masters and angels and what have you. And as you continue to ascend in your journey, you end up acquiring a new team of ancestors that come in to help you along the way. And so that's what I wanted to, let people out there know, that you're always going to be protected and supported no matter what. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. And you're able to just innately know, listen for the signs, listen for the messages, look for the signs. And in that moment when the sign is happening, or you notice something off, or, like, oh, that was a glitch in a sense, just remember what you were thinking in that moment, because that's the confirmation from the spirit family, from God, source, the universe, the most high in a sense. And so that is what I wanted to kind of share. And I hope this video helps you. I hope you find any messages in here that resonates, to help you on your journey. I know that I plan on sharing more and more along the way. I'm currently co-creating with the universe at the moment, and I hope to be able to launch my individual mission project next year, in the year of the horse, of course. And so that's what I wanted to hop on here to share with you all. And I hope this helps. And thank you so much for watching, subscribing, for liking. And I wish you all a happy holiday season, but most importantly, a happy new year for 2026, the year when everything starts. So thank you so much. I love you all. Bye.